Well, aloha! It's Friday. It's Aloha Friday, and no work till Monday. Well, at least not until they allow us to start having open houses here in Southern California, or I get a group of showings that we have to do. But for right now, we're having fun. It's Friday. It's going to be a warm weekend here in Southern California. Things are looking good. It's looking actually going to look more summery this weekend than it is springtime. But let's get started. Today we're going to talk about what you need if you're going to get a loan for a house, a mortgage. So let's talk about the documents you're going to need to get together to get your loan approved. First things, let's talk about in the past, approving a customer for a mortgage loan meant having to just verify a borrower's employment, their income, and their debts. Now today, it's much more complicated. Lenders need to be really buttoned up when it comes to making a judgment call on whether a buyer will be able to make timely loan payments and repay their loan in full. Because of this new level of scrutiny, the number of documents requested when applying for a loan has grown significantly. And some more unorganized lenders out there tend to ask for the same documents repeatedly, and it frustrates users because, in all honesty, it takes time and effort to track some of that information. As a prospective borrower, it's smart to get pre-approved before you start house hunting. Well, it's not only smart, it's mandatory in today's market. If you're not pre-approved, then it's really going to be hard when you find that house of your own that you want to buy and you're getting into negotiations, and that's going to be a problem. So you need to be pre-approved. So it's also smart to prepare for your application process way ahead of time to get that documentation in line. That will speed up your approval process so you can get out and you can make a confident bid on that house that you want to get. Now, here's the items you need to get together before you apply for a mortgage. First, your identification. You have to prove who you are, who you say you are. Like most financial transactions, applying for a mortgage requires identity, a proof of identity. You'll need to provide your driver's license, your passport, or another form of government issued ID. Now, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that's okay. You're still able to get a mortgage. You may be asked about your permanent residence status. You may have to provide a copy of your green card or your employment authorization document or a valid work visa. Now, you're going to need pay stubs. To verify your most recent income, you'll be asked for your paycheck stubs or their electronic equivalent for at least 30 days. Because you could be asked for this again down the road, it might make sense to keep a file of your pay stubs and pull out the most recent whenever asked. If you receive other income, like overtime pay, and it's separated from your regular paycheck, you'll want the documentation for that as well. Note that your lender may also want to see proof of income letter from your employer, especially if you've recently changed jobs or the industry you worked in. W-2 forms. Your mortgage lender is looking for job stability and consistency and will need to see W-2 forms from current and past employers. The minimum they'll need is the past 2 years. And if you plan to co-own the house, each of you will need to provide that information. If you don't have them handy, check if your tax preparer has retained any digital copies or reach out to the IRS for copies. Here's a note. If there are gaps in your employment, you'll be asked for a written explanation. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but it does need to be an honest assessment of why you were unemployed at that time. Bank statements. The difference between your overall debt and annual income is called your debt to income ratio, or DTI. Lenders use this figure to determine if you're able to afford your monthly mortgage payment, still paying your other debts like auto loans, student loans, credit cards, etc. To calculate this, you may be asked for 2 or 3 months worth of bank statements, all the pages, including the blank ones, to verify your income, savings balance, and source of your down payment. Now, if there are any large and recent deposits, be prepared to explain where those funds came from. Now, you'll also need, if you have retirement and investment accounts, you'll also need to dig up several months of statements from any of those retirement accounts, stock investments, 401ks, and your certificate of deposits, your CDs. Don't be surprised if the lender doesn't use the entire amount of these accounts as qualifying income. They may only account for 60 cents on the dollar on the chance you might have to liquidate those accounts to pay future bills. Now, credit verification. As a borrower, you're not expected to source out all your credit reports, but you'll have to provide the lender with permission to check your credit history. If there's signs of late payments or judgments against you, you may need to explain in writing. The lender will also check your credit score. If you're new to using credit or haven't done so yet, credit scoring companies won't have enough data on you to give you a score. If that's the case, you may need to prove that you've made regular payments to the electric company, the gas company, cable, internet, car insurance, and of course your mobile telephone. Anything you can provide that shows a pattern of being on time with payments will help. If you're a renter, providing proof of rent payments for the last 12 to 24 months, that'll help. Letters from landlords help as well. Income tax returns. Pull together your tax returns from the last 2 years, at least, to verify income reported as well as deductions claimed. You may also be asked to sign something called a Form 4506T, which grants your lender permission to request your tax return information directly from the IRS. So, if you're if you're self-employed or an independent contractor or a freelancer like us, like the people in the film business, which we have a lot here in Southern California, and haven't yet filed your tax returns for the previous year, you may need to provide a profit and loss statement, a P&L. This is more common since COVID-19 pandemic may have interrupted some of your workflow. A P&L statement can be generated with accounting software like Quicken, QuickBooks, or you can create your own with a spreadsheet that details gross income from previous years minus all your operating expenses. Those include things like computer equipment, your software licenses, office supplies, rent, your telephone, and travel costs if they're related to doing business. Ask your lender what format is preferred. Oh, and yes, of course, you need to provide several months worth of 1099s. If you are legally divorced, your divorce decree will detail any alimony or child support payments you need to declare. You may need to provide a copy of that decree along with bank statements showing the payments are regularly made. If you're legally separated and not divorced, you may have to supply your separation agreement. So it's a good idea to have that on hand too. Now, if you think of using gifted money, a gift, then a gift letter will be required. This is precisely what it sounds like. A signed letter from someone with a relationship to you who plans to provide cash to cover part or all of the down payment. It is important the letter must state that the recipient is not expected to pay it back. Your lender may also request proof from the donor's bank showing the fund source is legit, Now, be organized. My best tip here is to start a file collecting all those materials before applying. If nothing else, make sure you do it long before finding that home that you want to buy. You need to do it as soon as you start that process of looking, when you make that decision, you want to start looking for a home. You need to get pre-approved. You need to get this process rolling, especially in today's market. There's not a lot of inventory. There's a lot of buyers out there looking for a house. When it comes on the market, you have showings right away. There'll be offers right away. So if you want that house, make sure you've got that pre-approval process and that paperwork is in there ready to go. So when your lender is going to ask for those documents, make sure you have them. So this is Jamie Barber from Jamie Barber Homes saying good luck. Go out there. If you want to buy a house, get this paperwork together, get your lender to get you pre-approved so that the process is as easy as it can be. And if you're a seller or you're considering selling your house, this is the time. It's a pretty hot market. There's not a lot of inventory and there's people looking, and they are definitely paying over asking. So you have a great weekend. You enjoy yourselves. This is Jamie Barber from Jamie Barber Homes. I'll see you next week. All right, y'all. It's Aloha Friday. If you need to get a hold of me, you can reach me at jamiebarberhomes.com. I'll be happy to help you if you want to look for a house or if you want to sell your house or if you just want to talk about real estate. Email me. All right. Have a great weekend. Aloha.